What's up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 6 of Jet Lag. Enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Episode 6. As you see from the title, Aaron Glenn is building his staff. Aaron Glenn hired, I think, a week ago from today or yesterday on Thursday or Wednesday last week. And then Darren Muji, who we didn't know the GM the time of the last podcast, was hired as the Jets' new GM. This is a little surprising. I mean, he's pretty. I'll get into that later in the episode. But yeah, let me just go through the agenda. What we're gonna hit today. I got some pretty cool and new stuff for you guys. First, there's going to be a new show schedule. I know I've been tweaking it a bunch throughout the past couple of months, weeks, whatever it may be. We were doing 2 a week during the season. Now we were doing once every week, and now we'll be doing 1 every other week throughout the offseason. I just think it makes a lot more sense. Next, we're going to go over Aaron Glenn, his staff signings so far, who's on the staff, and some of the future positions that still need to be filled. Aaron Rodgers and how he gives us the best chance to win in 2025, in my opinion. And then I got a cool news segment, which I'll get into later in the show. And then we'll finish up with the Super Bowl preview, which I think will be fun. Chiefs-Eagles. Not my favorite matchup, but we'll get into it as the show proceeds. So let's start off by explaining the new show schedule. Instead of 1 podcast a week, I'm going to be doing 1 every other week. Just because the offseason could get slow at some points. It is kind of a long time in between stuff. I know you go from the Super Bowl and then it's like right to the Combine a month later, which is, I think, second week of March. Free agency opens up that same week. So you kind of get those signings, which will be a fun couple of weeks for us. And then as March winds down, hopefully the free agents kind of settle down to their new teams. We'll get into some draft stuff, which I think will be pretty cool. Jets have a top 10 pick once again. So I think this new schedule kind of works out better. Offseason can be a slow point. So yeah, I also kind of transitioning from 1 podcast every other week. Or 1 podcast every week. Since we're doing 1 every other week, I'm going to be posting on the new Instagram, which I'll kind of tag down below where it'll pop up on the screen right now. And I'll be posting kind of throughout the week where I don't release a podcast, which will be pretty fun to kind of just, you guys will get your information that way, which I think will be pretty cool. So yeah, let's get right into the main topic of the show. Kind of really big focus on Aaron Glenn. It's the biggest kind of story around the Jets as of right now. Obviously, there is kind of the Rodgers saga, whether he's going to come back, whether he's going to go to a different team, whether he's even going to retire too. And so yeah, we got Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji. So I'll get in. We got into a little bit of Glenn last episode. I'll kind of move on to the staff he's building. So I'll get into Darren Muji first. So he was the assistant GM of the Broncos. He was a big part. I think he was there for 13 years. He's very young. He kind of worked in evaluating Bo Nix, which is huge for this franchise. As we know, we need a franchise quarterback, quote unquote, every other week, basically. And then he worked with 3 head coaches that reached the Super Bowl. He worked with Sean Payton as last season, and he won the Super Bowl with the Saints a couple years ago with Drew Brees, Gary Kubiak, and John Fox, which is a good track record to have when you're going into an interview for a general manager position. I like that a lot. But overall, I'm kind of unknown on this hire. It seems new and refreshing because, we've been so stale with Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, and I went into this a couple episodes back how Joe Douglas just kind of whiffed on the biggest positions in the sport. And that's what will get you fired, and it ultimately did. But yeah, it's great having a new face in the building. He looks young, energized, so does Aaron Glenn. And one thing to point out with this GM hiring is the roster isn't as bad as it was in the past when we were looking for new GMs. This GM, or Darren Muji, he'll have a franchise left tackle. He has a fantastic running back, fantastic receiver, and Garrett Wilson. Who knows about Devontae Adams? He's got pretty much a solidified entire O-line. Maybe need a right tackle, maybe a couple depth pieces. It's really just a couple nicks and knacks on the defense, making a big decision with quarterback eventually, which will be coming up pretty soon with Rodgers, and then in the future, what's our game plan after Rodgers leaves the Jets and retires and goes off into the sunset. But other than that, this team has pieces in the right place, unlike previous years, which I really like. So, and he also, one of the things that kind of really stood out to me in his press conference was his big emphasis on keeping our own, which has been the story. I know there's a lot of kind of trade talks surrounding Garrett Wilson. I don't even know if you want to call them talks, and people are calling for Sauce to get traded. I hope Garrett Wilson doesn't get traded. I hope Sauce Gardner doesn't get traded. I think we need those three guys, including Jermaine Johnson, even Breece Hall. I think you look to extend all four of those guys from the 2022 draft. I think you have to keep your star players in the building. You have to make this team look like it's a desirable place for free agents and other stars to want to come to. Moving on, the Jets recently just hired Steve Wilks, who at first glance, and when this rumor was popping up all over my Twitter feed, I was in love with it. He was defensive coordinator when the Niners reached the Super Bowl in 2023, which is a pretty good track record. I know the Niners were awesome 2 years ago. And one thing that also stood out to me with this hire is that he will call plays as Glenn wants to focus on head coach duties. Glenn said this. He was asked during his kind of press conference, I want to call it post-game press conference, when the reporters were surrounding him and just at his free will asking him questions. And they asked him if he was going to call the defense, and he said he needs to be the best head coach he could be, so that's why his offensive coordinator will call plays for the offense and the DC will call defensive plays for the defense. I love this. This allows Aaron Glenn to focus on managing the clock, other important things that a head coach has to worry about. I think it's a great hire. He has head coaching experience in Arizona, and he's a veteran who won't step on Glenn's toes, but can, in my opinion, he can almost be that assistant head coach that has experience when it comes to when Aaron Glenn is looking for advice. I think this was one of the perfect hires that we could have made at DC, considering who was available. He has a veteran presence, like I said. I think this is a home run. I know people are going to be like, oh, he was a one and done in Arizona. He still has experience as a head coach, and he knows what he did wrong. He was with the Panthers for a little bit. I think this is as good as a defensive coordinator as you can hire with a first-year head coach. I'll kind of gloss over these next kind of couple hires, these two hires. I know we hired a special teams coordinator and a new offensive line coach. They fired Keith Carter. Thank God. I thought he was terrible. And they have a couple other names for different positions. I'll get into that right now. Special teams coordinator Chris Banjo. He was the Broncos special teams assistant for a couple years, which you see the correlation between him and Darren Muji. Special teams is very overlooked, in my opinion. It's very important. My high school coach used to say special teams is basically your special teams players are on the field 1 out of every 6-7 plays. And that adds up during the course of a game, especially in the NFL, when if you make a certain impact play, like blocking a punt for a touchdown or blocking a field goal or scoring a kick return or punt return, that can be the deciding factor of a game, and it usually is. We see a million times when teams let up a huge kick return, punt return touchdown for like the game. I mean, a couple years ago when the Jets had Zach Wilson still, I think it was 2 years ago in New England, they had that win in the bag, and it was in overtime. The Jets punted, I think, and the Pats punt returner won the game for them because we sucked. But yeah, he's had great Chris Banjo, back to the point. Sorry to bring up horrible times. he had great returners for the Broncos the past couple of years with Marvin Mims. He was an all-pro returner this year. So if we could get someone back there to punt return, maybe he transforms someone into an all-pro punt returner. Shades of Joe McKnight, hopefully. R.I.P. Connections with Moogie and special teams is important, obviously. It's a good hire. He has experience in the special teams room, I think. Good hire. That being said, they hired the Lions tight end coach for the offensive line. Steve Heiden, I don't know. He has a connection with Glenn. He was the tight ends coach, so you might be kind of questioning why didn't they just sign an offensive line coach. I don't know. I really don't know. I tried to look into some research with this. I think it helps having a tight end coach being your O-line coach, though, because he knows more than what the O-line coach has to do, because the tight ends have to run routes, they have to protect, they have to know when they're in motion. And I think that could help being an overall line coach when you're in unison with 5 players and being all on the same page. I don't know. He has a connection to Glenn. We'll see how that pans out. But it's nice to get a new face. Obviously, they're just stripping every position, gutting this organization, starting from scratch, which is perfect. And going back, special teams, Brant Boyer, I think that's his name, the Jets' former special team coach, him and Robert Saleh back with San Francisco. So happy for them to move on. I'm sure Robert Saleh will dominate teams. He's a DC at heart. He's going to be insane. He's going to make that defense great again. I think the Niners will make the playoffs again next year. You know, they had injury problems. That being said, good luck to them. And then some names for other positions, according to Zach Rosenblatt, kind of posted a couple hours ago on Twitter. Tanner Engstrand, offensive coordinator. He's kind of like the favorite as of right now. David Blau, former Lions quarterback. He was the QB coach for Jaden Daniels in Washington this past year, I think. And then Chris Harris, defensive backs coach. Those three, I think the offensive coordinator is the most important right there. As we know, it's going to be that connection with the offense, which has been kind of the problem these past 5-10 years. Offense has sucked. Even the past couple of years, we know the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, Dowell Loggins with Adam Gase. He was horrendous. Yeah, we're going to have to see. I don't know. Tanner Engstrand, I think he was with the Lions. We'll see. I'm just hoping for the best at this point, but the offensive coordinator for this team will play a huge role in this team's upcoming success or future success. So now I'm going to get into our next segment, which is controversial. A lot of people are saying they don't want Aaron Rodgers back. I disagree. I think you need Aaron Rodgers in the building in 2025. 1, he gives the Jets the best chance to win. 2, he can mentor a rookie quarterback / young quarterback, which can set up the Jets in the future to have success long term. I'll get into 1. He gives the Jets the best chance to win. If you look at his numbers, he was just shy of 4,000 yards, just shy of 30 touchdowns. He had roughly 10 interceptions, 12 interceptions. He ended the year off strong. If you want to win, tell me why. And not because, Aaron Rodgers is a cancer. He's going to dominate. He's going to just take advantage of Aaron Glenn because he's a first-year head coach. I disagree. Aaron Glenn got ahead of the Aaron Rodgers discourse in that press conference. He was like, before any of you come asking questions about Aaron Rodgers, I texted him. We're going to come to a decision and see what he wants. But it's up to Aaron Glenn. It's up to Darren Muji if they want Aaron Rodgers back, which I think is the right decision. You can't have him dictate. You can't have the team and them waiting on, Rodgers is kind of making a whole story about, I don't know if I want to come back. Screw that. If he doesn't want to come back, then you move on ASAP. Father Time waits for nobody, as people say. He gives the Jets the best chance to win. I think because if you're Aaron Glenn, your first-year head coach, this team has seen nothing but failure the past 15 years. You don't have time to win this fan base over. And I know that's selfish. That's kind of harsh to say. But this team, the fans need something. You got to give them a bone. You need at least 9 wins. You need to just have a winning season. And if you look at the other quarterbacks on the market, let me know who's better than Aaron Rodgers. That gives you the best chance to win. And I think Aaron Glenn needs to have a winning season. If they make the playoffs, then fantastic. If they'll probably lose in the first round. If you go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, fans will be like, okay, this coach can coach. This gives players like Garrett, Jermaine, Sauce, Brees, a little bit of taste of what winning feels like. All they've felt since they've been here is losing. You need to have a refreshing kind of mindset in the building, which is why I think you need Aaron Rodgers. He gives you the best chance to win. 2, if he comes back, Jets are probably 95% likely to bring in like a Jackson Dart or Kyle McCord in the mid-rounds, like day 3 pick. Sitting behind, and you also have Jordan Travis, don't get me wrong. He's fantastic, but who knows with his health concerns. You have a young quarterback sitting behind one of the greatest, if not the greatest, talented quarterback of all time, not most accomplished. I don't think Rodgers is the best quarterback of all time. It's Tom Brady. But he may be the most talented quarterback of all time. And having a young, kind of raw Jalen Milroe, Kyle McCord, Jackson Dart, any of those guys sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, and they kind of learn the ropes. Mini Jordan Love them. I know Jordan Love sat a couple years. That could set the team up long term. Let's say they go 9-8, and then you have a Jackson Dart, Kyle McCord. I know these are kind of just names. They're very raw. And they come in and they're like, all right, I think I get this. Like, you could have long-term success with them as your franchise quarterbacks because they sat behind a veteran, that veteran being Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's a win-win if Aaron Rodgers comes back. I know there's a lot of BS surrounding him. Sometimes he'll go on McAfee and blah, blah, blah. But I think he's a leader, man. I know I saw a clip from the Enigma doc. I never watched it. I don't have any desire to watch it because it just makes my blood boil because I wish they were good. And if they were good, I would have watched it. I don't know. I'm like kind of like that. And he was like, play that you're the New York effing Jets. And that's kind of that's literally what Aaron Glenn said at his press conference. I think they share the same mindset. They share the same leadership. You take nothing from nobody. I think he gives you the best chance to win in 2025, as well as long term. All right. Let's get into our new segment. I'm very excited for this. I kind of used ChatGPT to find the name. I'm not going to lie. But I thought it was pretty clever. So I wanted to do, since I don't really have a following yet, but I wanted to do something related to the Jets and people's kind of takes on Jets Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of Jets Twitter and X, I'm just going to call it Twitter, they have some crazy takes. We know the Jets social media community is very, 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 very strong. And they love their team. I don't know why we all love them. They are so bad. But yeah, this is the new segment. It's called Jet Fuel or Jet Fool. Basically, I'm going to take 2 takes from Twitter, and I'm going to rank it either Jet Fuel or Jet Fool. It's kind of it's basically overreaction or reality. So I'm going to basically take a take where I think it's Jet Fuel or it's reality, like I think this is a legit take, or Jet Fool, where I think it's overreaction, like this is like not a good take at all whatsoever. And I just think it had a funny play on words. So I'll pop up the first one on the screen. So this first one, it's from Chris, Jets fan Chris 24 on X. This is kind of, why do I keep saying X? Twitter. This was the day when the Chiefs, this past Sunday, Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game, with the gif of Pat Mahomes kind of selling. And he goes, the New York Jets are absolutely not on the Buffalo Bills side. I'm part of the kingdom today. And I think that's Jet Fuel. A lot of people were kind of sick of the Chiefs kind of beating everyone, winning, and everyone's like, no, they can't three-peat. I'm sick of the Chiefs. They get all the penalty calls, and that's been huge discourse around the NFL community. But I think that's Jet Fuel. You can't be rooting for the Bills, a division rival. I know people are going to be like, the Patriots are really your rival. No, I don't really like the Dolphins suck. Hate them. Bills are kind of whatever. I don't care. Like the Bills, the Jets had a chance to beat Deion Dawkins pisses me off one. Jets had a chance to beat the Bills for first place in the division. It's a rivalry. I don't like the Bills. Jets were 10-5 going into week 17 in 2015, and they lost to them. They knocked them out of the playoffs. Matt Barkley Bills, which really pissed me off. Ruined the Fitzmagic year. There was no way. I was talking to my friends, some of my roommates when we were watching Championship Sunday. I was not rooting for the Bills. Listen, I'm sick of Pat Mahomes. I'm sick of the Chiefs, but I'm going to respect greatness. They're probably, which I'll get into, they're probably going to win the Super Bowl again and be we're going to witness history, see a three-peat. I'd be very surprised if the Eagles win. But yeah, there's no way I am rooting for the Bills in that game. I think Chris is spitting facts here. I was part of the Kingdom Sunday. I wasn't pulling for them, but I wanted the Bills to lose, put it that way. All right, Jet Fool. So here we go. This is from John Frisella. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, at NFL Frisella. He said, my preferred New York Jets quarterback room for the 2025 NFL season. I'll start from the bottom, actually. QB3, Jordan Travis, fine with it. Good. QB2, Jackson Dart, perfect. And then he goes QB1, Marcus Mariota. As I said previously, this is kind of the complete opposite of what I want to do. I would like to bring in Aaron Rodgers and be that kind of veteran presence, veteran quarterback. But he wants Marcus Mariota. I don't think Marcus Mariota gives you the best chance to win. I think that is a foolish take, a Jet foolish take. And I'm sorry, John, but I disagree. I think the Jets would be kind of making a mistake if they brought in Marcus Mariota to be that bridge quarterback, because they probably wouldn't win next year, and who knows what would happen in the future. Fans will probably turn on Aaron Glenn through 2 weeks because Marcus Mariota stinks. But yeah, that's kind of the new segment. I kind of like that. I maybe add more. I was thinking of that this morning, and I was like, let me add a new segment. Talking to one of my professors, and I think there's going to be more segments coming up. I'll probably add more kind of Jet Fuels or Jet Fools. I know it's kind of hard to say fast, but I'll probably add maybe 2 more. Hopefully we get at least 4 in there, which would be pretty cool. So I thought that was pretty fun. Let's move on. Super Bowl prediction, kind of what everyone is looking forward to. Just saying right now, I think it's crazy how fast this season went. I know it's kind of the Mike Francesa special where every week he goes, we're already week 15. Kind of says that stuff every single week, but I actually can't believe this season's over. It feels like 2 hours ago I was watching the Jets play the 49ers and drive down the field on the first drive, which was awesome. My hopes were so high. I feel like I was just at the Jets-Patriots Thursday night game where we smoked them. Those were good times the first couple of weeks, and then it all went downhill from there. But, football's awesome. You got to love it. You only have so many more games you could watch in your lifetime, so you got to take advantage. That being said, Super Bowl, Chiefs-Eagles rematch of 2020, what was it, 2022, 2023? I don't know. 2 years ago. The spread is around 1 in favor of the Chiefs. I haven't checked that. I kind of just checked it right after the AFC Championship game. Like I said, I don't know how you could pick against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs until they force you not to. They were winning every game by such a little margin in the regular season, and they just somehow get it done every single week. It's very confusing to me, and when they don't look as good, they still come out on top. I think it's a testament to Mahomes and a lot of Andy Reid, if we're being completely honest, and credit to Steve Spagnuolo, probably the first Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. But yeah, the Chiefs are my pick. I guess I'll give a final score. I'm in a couple Super Bowl boxes. I don't know the numbers yet. But Chiefs are my pick. I'll go couple years ago, the game, what was it, 38-35? I think it'll be less offensive. I do think Saquon will run for 100 yards, score a couple touchdowns. I think it'll be a great game. I'm going to go 28-24 Chiefs. They kind of edge them out, probably game-winning drive or something like that, or they stop them. Come down to the last possession. Hopefully just a good game, not a blowout like the NFC Championship game. But yeah, so that's going to wrap it up today. We hit everything that I wanted to. Got the new schedule out to you guys. I'll post that on the Instagram. Just keep following me. Follow my Twitter. Those will pop up on the screen. They'll be in the description. We had Aaron Glenn's staff, Aaron Rodgers, a little bit of that. Our new segment, Jet Fool, Super Bowl. So yeah, that's gonna do it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, February 13th, I believe. But it's not next Thursday, the following Thursday. Follow the Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.